Alrighty, well, just wanted to, start off by thanking you all for joining us for this afternoon event. Just to kind of go through what the kind of evening is going to look like. You're stuck with us for an hour, and we'll make it a little bit cooler in here. But the intent of us meeting is to go over a grant opportunity, okay? And part of that grant opportunity is to solicit information from different parts of Kern County. So we'll go over that. We also will be offering this in English and Spanish, so hopefully that's okay with the group. We have you all here in front of us, and then we also have a group that is joining us virtually, and Earl is going to be manning that. So let's start off by maybe just introductions. Would that be okay? All right, Earl, I'll start with you.
Hey, everybody, I'm Earl Parsons with the Kern Community College District.
Christopher Tafoya, also with the Kern Community College District.
Okay, and Brittner Rand with Community Action Partnership of Kern. We have a couple of resources out in this area, including food distributions. We're actually joined by one of our board members, Yolanda, so thank you for joining us. And you're gonna have to forgive us. We're gonna read off the slides. I know that's like 101 presentation you're not supposed to do, but it's so dense, we don't want to miss anything. So read along with us. You all have a copy of the presentation, and we'll just start. And Earl, interject anytime because I'm not looking at the chat online. Okay, you got me. Okay, and then that same applies for this group. If you have a question, just chime in. It's very important. Okay. All right. So in terms of today's meeting, as I mentioned, there's a grant opportunity. And what we're going after is a planning phase, okay? And we'll talk about that in just a second. And part of that is to, again, have a high level of community engagement. And then I'm going to switch back and forth with English and Spanish. So Christopher, if you could do the next slide, and Earl.
Absolutely. Buenas tardes, me llamo Christopher. Para todos los que están llegando sobre Zoom. Perdóname porque primeramente español sí es mi segundo idioma, entonces tal vez algunas palabras no van a salir perfectas, pero el propósito de la Junta hoy es la subvención CERF, valora equidad para las comunidades y quieren ayudar a traer trabajos que pagan bien al condado de Kern. En el momento actual están en el proceso de colectando información y comentarios de la comunidad. Hoy van a explicar en el proceso que están con la subvención y después van a tomar tiempo con ustedes para escuchar sus comentarios y respuestas. Muchas gracias por estar aquí con nosotros y vamos a seguir.
Okay, so you're probably wondering why there's different partners all over the county hosting this meeting. So a little background. So through a Senate bill, there's an opportunity at the state level to bring in economic and workforce development opportunities. Throughout the region is specifically Kern County. The state is split up in 13 regions, and we're just kind of one of, I think, 2 that have our county as one region. Other regions are a mix between 2 to 3 counties. So that's a little gnarly because sometimes it's hard just to get a group together. I couldn't imagine trying to do that with 3 other counties. So we're unique in that Kern County is its own region. Okay, so that's a plus for us. The grant, as mentioned, is through Senate Bill 162. And it's a 2-phased approach where phase 1 is the planning phase. And that's what we're going to be going after. There's also an opportunity for a implementation grant, meaning your agency, your county, your region has already put in all the work and they're ready to go. We're not quite there. So that's why the county application will be a planning application and not the implementation piece.
El bill del Senado 162 autoriza hasta 5 millones para la planificación. El condado de Kern es único en el sentido de que son nomás 2 condados de que son su propia región. La oficina del gobierno realiza que Kern es un lugar bien único, que algunas cosas son únicos y que este dinero va específicamente a ayudar a Kern y por eso es su propia región. Las subvenciones de planificación incluyen al agente fiscal, el organizador regional y coordinadores trabajando en lo que sigue. Un plan de desarrollo económico regional, creando un Inclusive Planning Table, incluyendo estrategias basadas de prueba, asegurando que hay participación de grupos diversos.
Thank you. So the grant is due on 7/25. And that's the planning phase, as I was mentioning. The work that we're doing ahead of that is going out to different communities in Kern County, including Taft, Arvin, Southeast Bakersfield, Ridgecrest earlier this week. What's the other, but you guys have been in every meeting. What other counties? Most of them, okay. So the intent is to engage at a city level and or at a community level to figure out, well, we have research that tells us essentially what are the high stake industries that we want to convert to, whatever that might look like, right? But what we miss is a component around community engagement. It's really easy behind a desk to say, we know what everybody wants, but once we actually get out in the field and start getting some feedback, we learn certain things such as barriers to workforce, barriers to education that we kind of didn't really consider. And so that really is the point of why we're going to transition into kind of having a collective engagement. And Earl, you'll be monitoring the chat, so please keep us apprised of any questions that might come up. Okay. We can move on to the next slide for the Spanish part.
Entonces, la meta de CERF es incluir a todos los miembros de la comunidad, que todas las preguntas lleguen de la comunidad. Es un gran plan que esencialmente la comunidad debe de informar al trabajo que se va a hacer, los planes, los investir en esas propias comunidades. Hemos estado en ciudades como Ridgecrest, mañana vamos a estar en la ciudad de Arvin, hemos estado en Taft, varios lugares para que estamos en la comunidad para escuchar lo que tienen que decir ustedes.
Excellent, thank you. So the next slide, Earl. This is when we're going to have our breakout groups. And I think we have enough folks here where we can kind of consolidate a couple of the tables, but these are the series of questions that we'll be covering. We are listening to you. We will not be prompting you to give us answers. So this is really for us to just take in. And so we'll be covering this in just a second when we conclude the presentation. We'll make it into an engagement meeting.
Lo que sigue son 6 preguntas. Y si es necesario, sobre Zoom, les vamos a ayudar a mandarles las preguntas en español. Pueden responder en español y eso es lo que vamos a hacer.
Okay. Now, this next slide are all of our bosses. And really what it is the CERF grant is a unique structure. Okay, so in any kind of operations, any business operations, you kind of need a lead agent that will handle the fiscal component and reporting. And that's the lead for the Kern Community College District. So Dr. Jessica Grimes in the middle there will be leading that effort on behalf of the agency and for the grant to ensure that we're meeting our metrics, that we're getting everything paid on time, and that we're compliant and in good standing. The design of the CERF grant is also to have what's called co-conveners that represent disenfranchised and disinvested groups in Kern County. And again, our region being Kern County. So that's why you have a mix of individuals that again are representing areas where we have access points, we have clients, we have services that we provide directly, and we can get out to those communities pretty quickly. And so the partners of that convener role is not just a single agency. It's comprised of Kern Community College District, B3K Prosperity, Kern Inyo Mono Central Labor Council, known as CAMCLC, and our agency, Community Action Partnership of Kern, and Building Healthy Communities that focuses on the Hispanic population. So between us co-conveners, I believe we're really reflective of these disenfranchised groups that we're trying to target. That's the core and crux of the CERF grant.
Entonces, otra vez, son 5 organizaciones los que ahorita están, o sea que en la planificación de la beca de CERF, que viene de la oficina del gobierno, son 5 organizaciones y esas son Kern Community College District, B3K Prosperity, Kern Indian Mono Central Labor Council, the Community Action Partnership of Kern, y Building Healthy Communities, Kern County. Y entonces, ahorita lo que sigue, la primera fase es los $5 millones que vamos a invertir en la planificación. Lo que sigue son varios más millones de dólares que es una fuerza que va a crecer de la comunidad y las 5 organizaciones van a estar ahí de la planificación para hablar en las diferentes comunidades porque tocan en diferentes grupos y así es.
Now, I'm going to pause there because with all the groups that we've just announced, you may not feel like you're being reflected in that group. And that's not the end of the story. So there's a component of the CERF grant that after you get awarded and as part of the planning phase, you have what's called the Partnership Collective Agreement. Now, that essentially is a governance structure that, again, is reflective of all Kern counties, split up to about 16 different regions, even within Kern County, to make sure we have roughly 3 representatives from each micro community to ensure that your voices are being heard. Now, again, it just depends on whether we get the grant, but the infrastructure is what's going to be submitted along with the application to really demonstrate that it's not just a small group that's making the decisions, that we won't be able to move forward with any decisions unless the entire group is at 55% in agreements. And again, that goes back to that collective agreement by way of the governance structure. So that looks really good, and that will be submitted. And you're probably wondering, well, I want to see the grant. Well, you'll have a chance to once it's submitted. It's due on 7/25. And so Kern Community College District will be the entity that submits it, which is Monday. We love these federal or these state grants that come really quickly. But even with that, we'll have a meeting post-award to talk about all the components that have been submitted. And it's going to include community engagement. It's going to include published research, primary and secondary research, including all the different studies that B3K and all these other folks have done already. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. Instead, we want to leverage what's already been presented. Okay. In September, I don't have a date, roughly the notice of award will be announced in September, and that's where the real work starts. Okay. From my understanding, the effective date of the contract will start from 10/1 and go on for the planning phase. Okay, yeah, so 2 to 3 years of the planning phase. And then once we have a really solid understanding of where we want this county to go around workforce and infrastructure and good jobs, then we apply to the implementation phase. And that roughly is a $30 million project split among the regions, whatever that might look like. So this is not a short game. This is a long game in that it's going to continue to have a lot of community engagement, and we just are kind of the conduits to help support different communities. I know I went off script, so try to recap that in Spanish.
La infraestructura de la gobernancia de CERF incluye que varios miembros de la comunidad van a votar y así van a salir los proyectos. O sea que las 5 organizaciones que están aquí solo son para estar ahí, para estar en la comunidad. Tienen varios conexiones con la comunidad, pero todo esto debe de crecer de ustedes. Y así van a tener varios miembros de diferentes regiones del condado de Kern. Pardon me. You're going to have to remind me on the second half later.
Yeah.
Y pues así va a seguir.
Right. So before we do our breakout rooms, we'll finish up with this last slide. So we've been hosting a couple of different events, community events like this, and it's usually 5:30 to 6:30 in different parts of Kern County. But every Tuesday, KCCD has been posting updates because, as you can imagine, once we have these community meetings, people are like, wait, I still have questions, I have answers, I want to know things. This is where a lot of these folks have been able to join is during the Tuesday meetings to get updates. Now, obviously, timetable wise, it's due on 7/25. We're not going to be having another formal meeting. Instead, we'll have a wrap-up meeting, which we'll share with the group because you provided your contact information. And then this last part here is tomorrow will be a similar event, but in Arvin. And then that will be the last community engagement piece. Okay, so I'm going to stop here before we go into breakout. Any questions at this point? Okay, how are we doing in the chat?
Yeah, one more slide. This will just do the Spanish side.
Oh, I'm sorry, go.
Entonces, si quieren participar, si tienen cualquier pregunta, cada martes a las 12 de la tarde, pues la beca se va a someter ya el lunes que entra. Entonces, técnicamente no vamos a tener otra, pero a las 5:30 de la tarde mañana en Arvin y tal vez más que siguen, hay otras oportunidades para llegar en persona o sobre Zoom. Y aquí está la dirección de donde vamos a estar en Arvin.
Y tenemos un evento en viernes a media tarde.
También.
Give me a solid, Earl, go back to the very first slide. And again, just wanted to reiterate the different partners that are part of this. You may not know the name that I've just said, but sometimes we're a little bit more familiar with the logos, so just wanted to bring that on. So Earl, do we have any folks that are joining on?
Yeah, we have about 6 folks. I'm gonna leave them in a separate breakout group online.
Appreciate that. Okay, and so I guess we can mute this one since
Yeah.
he's gonna handle that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. All right, so we have a series.
Hey y'all, this is Earl Parsons here. How are you guys doing in virtual land? We did have a question come in. Is the Kern Valley one of the regions that you mentioned? Do we already have representatives specified for this area? So I can answer that. CERF is being broken down into sub-regions based on the 4 cardinal directions: North Kern, South Kern, East Kern, West Kern, and then Central Kern, which would be Metro Bakersfield and Greater Bakersfield, right? Central Kern. So the mountain communities, Kern Valley will definitely be included in one of those regions. Just keep your eye out for more information. We're going to go into our small group discussion questions. I'm Earl Parsons, by the way, Kern Community College District. We're going to start with our first question. I'm going to type it here in the chat. Feel free to answer here in the chat, and we will be collecting these. Our first question is, what does a good job mean to you? I think people have some, it's not necessarily just how much money you're making, right? What does a good job mean to you? People talk about a family sustainable wage. What does that really mean? And yeah, what makes you feel fulfilled and able to take care of yourself and your family in your career? So if anyone is willing to answer those questions here in chat, we can have a discussion. That'd be great. Oh, and you asked if we had representatives specified. We don't have representatives yet, but that will all come as part of the process in October when we start moving into this planning phase. So Lorenz, she says meaningful and stable. Yeah, stability is a big part. You don't want a job with a lot of turnover is not a good job or a high wage job necessarily. Work-life flexibility, Justin says, living wage, upward mobility, right? There needs to be opportunities for advancement. It shouldn't be that you're stuck in the same sort of dead-end position the entire time, you know? Am I loud?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just talking online. Yeah. I need an outlet. Okay, so work-life flexibility, I got to keep it down, I guess. So we've got work-life flexibility, we've got living wage, we've got upward mobility. All right. Let's see. Flexible schedule, ability commute, telecommute. So yeah, telecommute. Yeah, I think especially in COVID, we learned that it's a lot easier to work remotely, and especially in a community like Lake Isabella that is so far out up here, and there are barriers to the transportation. Like, what can we do to create jobs that allow more flexibility for people to take care of their families and do things that they need, right? Thank you. I value part-time work, what others most need full-time. I'm semi-retired in the Kern River Valley are. That's helpful context that there's a lot of retirees in the area. Karen says opportunities that allow for educational component to move up or increase wages. Yeah, we talk about upward mobility. I don't know if benefits have come up, but obviously health benefits, insurance, 401k. Those are crucial parts of a good job. We'll move ahead. Go ahead and move to our next question. which is what job sectors do you think will provide the most opportunities for good jobs? Okay. I don't know how that is working right now. I don't know if my outlet is working right now. I'm at 34% charge. So yeah, what job sectors do you think will provide the most opportunities for good jobs? And yeah, you can talk about Kern County in general or here in the Kern River Valley areas. So yeah, what job sectors? Healthcare, social services. By the way, Tim, if you want to submit a comment, you can go click everyone on the to field, because right now you have hosts and panelists and I can only see your comment. Tim says healthcare and social services. Those are good things. What is there a large percentage of the population here in Kern River Valley area that are on fixed incomes, Social Security, etc.? I'd be curious. I would be just kind of curious. Jobs that are moving toward being remote friendly. So even like tech, tech is a job that could be remote friendly. Healthcare, social services. So those are like types of jobs. Yeah, what job sectors? KRV is in many ways tourism focused, but we lack some of the opportunities to be found in other similar locations. Aging population equals opportunities in healthcare, senior care, senior housing. Can you give me 1 second? Keep submitting comments, and I'm having a technical problem here. Apologies, everyone. I lost you all. My laptop died on me, so let's come back. Are you all still here? Is everyone still here? Can you see me? All right, cool. I'm sorry about that, everybody. My laptop died on me. Cool. All right. So, yeah, we were talking about job sectors. I think we had healthcare. I'm going to go ahead and put healthcare back. Just to kind of keep us all on track. We have healthcare. Someone mentioned jobs that can provide remote work. And that could kind of fit in our next question when we start talking about what types of businesses or organizations. Do we have any ideas? Oh yeah, that'd be great, Justin. I apologize. I don't know why that outlet wasn't working. Nobody told me that it wasn't working. So so job sectors. I think someone mentioned tourism. Obviously, there's the river rafting. Do we have any more suggestions for job sectors? So like industries, you think about energy, manufacturing, those kinds of jobs. Like, oh, thank you. Karen, you're possible green energy. I'd be curious to know if you have wind or solar out here. Obviously, on the other side of the mountain, you've got Kernville that's doing all the solar stuff, right? But you have a lot of wind up here. Justin, you are such a blessing. Thank you. So yeah, there's a lot of wind energy. Aging population creates its own set of challenges, both for job opportunities and for the services that population requires. This area is also limited by lack of transportation infrastructure. Yeah, there's pretty much one regional bus, right, that you can get up here, and it's pretty windy, and all the locals want to run you off the road, even if you're driving up here. So yeah, like, what can we do to help transportation? over 50% of the population in the Kern River Valley are over age 60. So yeah. Yeah, so an aging population, that makes remote work even more important for if you have an aging population, I feel like. All right, I'm going to move on to our next question. Oh, there are opportunities. I'll answer this question. There are opportunities for innovating and outdoor recreation. Also, the low cost of living and high quality of life makes this area perfect for entrepreneurship and recruiting remote workers. All right, our next question. What businesses, organizations would you like to see in your community? Why? So yeah, when people talk about what types of businesses or organizations, it's a little bit different than the sector question, right? Like what are specific types of businesses that could work here out in the Kern River Valley that could lead to those good high paying jobs we were kind of talking about earlier, right? So yeah, what types of businesses or organizations? Someone had mentioned firms that provide remote work. Businesses that inspire students to have inspirational or high-tech careers here rather than moving away. So this is something that's come up at every one of our community meetings, right? Is this idea of brain drain, and it's a problem throughout Kern County. A lot of our best and most talented people don't come back. They go away to college. They don't want to join their small town or their community. And they're like, what can we do to change that? What can we do to provide educational opportunities here so that people are incentivized to continue staying with their families and we can keep our economy homegrown? I think that's extremely important. There is leakage in the local economy. No appraisers, no locksmith, no surveyors, no bonded arborists. So people hire from out of town, I'm guessing, right? Yeah, that's a big problem I've noticed in the aerospace industry when we were talking in East Kern, that we have to hire these firms from LA and San Francisco to provide the services. Justin says a makerspace, tech boot camps, healthcare magnet organizations. Elizabeth, I want you to come back to that leakage in the local economy question on our next on our next question when we talk about what some of the barriers are to being able to achieve to find those good jobs. So yeah, makerspace. We just finished completion at Bakersfield College on a brand new 3D printing space, makerspace, tech boot camps, healthcare magnet. Like I see the STEAM camps in schools, exploring careers and healthcare and opportunities. There used to be a program at the school called Exploring Careers and Healthcare Opportunities. Behavioral health, much can be done via telemedicine, greatly needed. Need more career training in high schools and community colleges to assist with job leakage and shortages. I think those are good responses. We have no access to KHSD, Career Technical Education Center out here. So a Career and Technical Education Center. I think we've moved on from businesses, and I'm going to go ahead and move on to our next question since we're already on it. What barriers have you observed that people report a job? Okay, so someone says lack of career technical education center from the high schools. We've talked about brain drain. We talk about behavioral health. I feel like an area like this, Kern River Valley, there's a lot of isolation. A lot of people are lonely. So they're going to need that telemedicine, something telehealth, that someone to talk to avoid the substance abuse problems and things that come with that lifestyle of isolation, right? So can we talk about some more barriers here? You make a great point about career training in the high schools and the communities, like those exploring opportunities in healthcare, et cetera. Elizabeth, example, $1 million a year, I think, got a 10-year forest contract service to manage the local campgrounds. That company is based in another state, so all the profit leaves the valley. The barrier was no qualified vendor, but that could be built. It could be a sustainable source of income for a local organization. Yeah, the canyon itself is a huge barrier. Some commute, but yeah, they take work. Most people don't have the luxury of being able to commute because it could take an hour on a regional bus. Yeah, exactly. It's a huge problem for many. And your point about forestry, for instance, what if there was what if the Kern River Valley could work together with the community college district and some professionals in forestry and the local forest service here and develop a program to train and then recruit directly from that program, from using local residents and from the community into those jobs. That could be an opportunity, right? Yeah, and those are the kinds of things we want to talk about with CERF. And that's really what CERF is all about, is identifying those gaps and then working together to fill in those gaps. Do we have any more barriers that people report and not being able to find a job? Yeah, I think those earn and learn opportunities, apprenticeships are important. And you do have to start young. People, if people want, like, the younger you know what you want to do, the less you're going to be messing around and wasting your money and taxpayer money in school to get there. So yeah. I think I'm going to go ahead and move on to our next question. I think we've gone through barriers. Our next question is, what can your community offer? What can your community offer? That will be beneficial to job creation. What kind of things can community service organizations, veterans outreach groups? We're here at a veterans center today. We're in a veterans hall. What can, nonprofit groups? What can education, the community colleges? What industry advisory groups, chambers of commerce? What can those groups do to facilitate economic and workforce development here in the Kern River Valley? I'm biased. Kernville Co-work exists for job creation and economic development. Thank you, Justin. Yeah, that's a good reference. I appreciate that. So yeah, in this region, partnering, maybe Kernville Co-work could partner with B3K, or not B3K, but with CERF and our current coalition to facilitate a lot of those careers. And you're the trusted messengers in your communities. So you all really know what your communities need. And we need your input as we're making these big decisions about what the economic future of Kern is going to look like. We need your input to guide us in the right direction. So if you want to email us at kernsurf@kccd.edu. Oh yeah, I'll take your email down. I'm going to put my email in here as well. Yeah, go ahead and contact us. And if you'd like, here we go. To me, perhaps the greatest value of a chamber is its ability to help people build network and build relationships. This is especially valuable in a small town area like the KRD. So yeah, maybe what the community can do is expanding the outreach capacity for the local chamber of commerce and reaching out to the small businesses that are here and figuring out what you can do to support those. Right? That's a great point. Anyone have any more suggestions about what the community can do to facilitate good jobs, beneficial job creation? I'll leave it open for a little bit more, about 30 more seconds. I have a feeling there are many amazing people in the KRV with incredible backgrounds, but they are hidden. Yeah, that's something we're beginning to think about at the community college. Adult learners is not people who are coming into our high schools or from the high schools, but adults who are looking to upskill, who are looking for new careers. What can we do with their existing knowledge and strengths that they have? Put them on a pedestal and get them to that next level as adult learners. A lot is going to have to start in the high school as well. Okay, thank you. Yeah, well, yeah, of course. And I think a program like early college, if we have it out in the Kern River Valley, would be hugely beneficial because it does a lot of that heavy lifting of career placement, giving people exposure to a wide range of things they could do for a living, and college coursework, and really getting them grounded in what college coursework is all about. Yeah, so yeah, that's a good suggestion. I'm gonna have our last question here. What other activities do you recommend? Oh, I'm gonna go to this question first though. We also have a new generation of folks that moved in over the past years that haven't found how to where to plug themselves into the valley yet. Yeah, so maybe people, so yeah, maybe people in Los Angeles and Southern California that are moving up to enjoy the beauty of this area. Yeah, and they don't find where their niche is yet. They're not engaged with the community. And that's where this next question comes in. What other activities do you recommend to increase participation from your community? What can we do to get people in the Kern River Valley excited about the opportunities that are going to be created through CERF and your participation in CERF? Yeah, like what can you do to get people engaged in local governance and business owners engaged with their chambers of commerce? Nonprofit organizations. What other kinds of activities? We need to have a more extensive presence. We should not be an afterthought on 100%. Yeah. Yeah, the word about CERF needs to increase through local social media. We agree. I know Saracoso has a campus out here in Lake Isabella now, in our district. So yeah, I think we need to be paying attention to you all out here. That's what CERF's about. That's the sub-regional strategy that we're beginning to implement, and making sure that you all have a voice and representation within this process. People will need to feel personal benefit to get involved. Yeah, I think we need to be able to explain to people what this really is and why people should be engaged with it, and why they could feel hope going forward that we're developing a strategy for economic development to help us emerge more strongly out of COVID-19 and the economic impacts of the pandemic. I learned about this meeting from Justin. Thanks, Justin. Thanks for getting us out. I know, I think Karen, and I think she got the word out for folks too. I'm sorry. I'm so famished. So yeah, interactive events, brainstorming competition, similar to like a startup weekend event. Yeah, that's a good suggestion, Justin. Yeah, yeah, and that gets the youth involved. I got a notice third-hand notification, even overview of the topic. Yeah, we need to do better. I think going forward, these are going to be institutionalized. So like for each sub-region, you will have regular standing meetings that will happen at 5:30, 6 o'clock, whatever time. It maximizes participation where you can go and have your voice heard within your sub-region. So yeah, you're right. The mountain community should not be an afterthought. How do we collectively bring people together from around the lake? Yeah, some of those communities of people who live out here, exactly. I'm gonna leave this open for about 30 seconds to a minute more. And then we'll take a little bit of time. Meeting should be announced in the local paper too. Yeah, I think I dropped the email above. If you'd like to stay up to date on this stuff, we'll add you to our listserv, and we'll be able to get the word out to you folks later on. Yeah, and I know in communities like this, posting it at the, like getting a flyer out at the local grocery store. Yeah, we have everyone's email who signed up via Zoom. If you signed in to the Zoom, I have your email, and we can make sure to reach out. But just in case I forget, if you have any questions, please reach out. I'm gonna put that email in one more time. Sorry. So that's the email. And if you want some more details, this is our website. So yeah, please reach out to that email for any questions you have and for information about how to be able to participate. We'll put you on our listserv for all our future convenings. We're going to be doing this at noon tomorrow. And then we'll be doing it again at 5:30 in Harbin. So stay tuned for that. Thank you all for your participation. I'm going to switch my screen over. Tomorrow we'll go over the same slides, but it's going to be focused on Harbin. And this kind of the things that the Harbin and South Kern and that community is really needing. The link to the calendar, kernrivervalley.com/calendar. I am at home. Please add me to the listserv. Okay, I'm gonna take that calendar. Okay, office@kernrivervalley.com. I'm gonna have my coworker do that. I'm gonna go like this. All righty. So, all righty, y'all. I think we're gonna give a few minutes for people to speak up here shortly. We'll wait for the breakout groups here in person to finish up. It's been great talking to you all. I'm gonna switch our screens over here. Thank you.